I'm just going to come up and do a quick little spiel. So welcome, and thank you for coming out for Port Fringe 2019. You are Maine's Fringe Festival. And we are so excited to have you here with us for this very special performance of Trump Sonnets. Some quick pieces of logistical cha-cha to go over with you now would be a great opportunity to turn off your cell phones or any devices that make noise or have lights in them. However, this amazing artist says okay to photography. He even says okay to flash photography. So photograph away. Snapchat, Insta, social media, make everyone jealous that they're not sitting right where you are right now. And lastly, just a reminder that this isn't theater, this is Fringe. We are an all-volunteer-run Fringe festival, bringing edgy, experimental, and alternative performance to our beautiful city of Portland, Maine, year after year. Every single person you see tonight who is wearing one of these super fancy things, or wearing one of these super fancy things, is doing this work for free because we absolutely love it. That also means that we need your help to keep the festival going. So when you are leaving the theater this evening, at the end of the show, we invite you to open your hearts and open your wallets to tip the Fringe. You will see down at the box office table a super high-tech cash collecting beach bucket. It's very fancy, so try and contain your enthusiasm. So that we can keep bringing you another year of wild, wacky entertainment. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight, and enjoy the show.
Are there other contrarians in the house other than me? Part of me just says, okay, I know what's going to work. I should try something that may not work, but would be something interesting to me. But, you know, that's Fringe. It's not theater, it's Fringe. Let's see. It's summer solstice, isn't it? Like June 20th.
Yeah.
So, election 2016, November, in San Francisco, Seattle, Portland,
Bath, Maine.
Bath, Portland,
Massachusetts, Boston, Portland.
Portland and Whiskey's Bar.
Wow. Okay. I was in that day, I was in Nashville, Tennessee. That night, I was in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I was going to be starting a residency through an organization called SkyPack, Southern Kentucky Performing Arts Center, officially starting the Thursday after that. Was it November 8th, I think it was? And then Wednesday, November 9th, I had meetings. But I met with somebody actually in Nashville on that Tuesday, presenting organization, and we agreed that, you know, there was confident, but the fact that there was going around that it was like 15, I think it said 15% chance that Donald Trump would win. You go, well, Hillary Clinton is going to win, but there's 15%. My sense was there should have been a 0.00% chance. I mean, I was a little fearful, but confident. And then we had our meeting in Nashville. The contact there was, you know, confident, but a little fearful. Went up to Bowling Green and stayed up that night, and it was a night. And also, I should say too that I assume you know what you're getting with this Trump Sonnets, how I've taken on Donald Trump and won. I've been places. I formerly called the show Donald Trump is my muse show. And people would say, well, are you for him? You know, because I don't know if I could watch it. Or I was in Spokane, Washington at a bookstore after the first book had been written, and it was for the Trump Sonnets. But how they marketed it the day before, there was an email blast to it was a place called Auntie's, which is a big and good independent bookstore in Spokane. Come to see Alaska's Fiddling Poet for a night of toe tap and fiddling, Alaska stories and poems. Nothing about Trump songs. So we had, what are there, about 40 chairs in here. There were probably about 30 people on a Tuesday night, and some people enjoyed it, some people were, this isn't what we signed up for. We're part of the deplorables. And I'll tell a little bit more about that because I've learned how to handle that, but I don't think this is the case here tonight. But went to bed late, stayed up through that as the election returns were coming in. And the next morning, on my way to a meeting, I was listening to public radio in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I took out a pen. I always have a pen on me. Let's see if I have a pen. Took out a pen. I don't know if it was this pen, but I took out a pen. And I took out, it wasn't this, but I always have a pen and paper. And I wrote down, I said, this guy is going to make George W. look like a statesman. And a year and a half after, I mean, there'd be these articles like the rehabilitation of George W. Bush. Well, it wasn't anybody paying attention. And a few days later, I started writing, this is the beginning of the sonnet to Donald Trump. I called it From Baltimore, so I started writing a lot more poems than this, but I had to give them titles, and to Donald Trump from Bowling Green wasn't really going to work as well as to Donald Trump from Baltimore. So I'll read the poem. It was the first one that I wrote in the few days after, to Donald Trump from Baltimore. You make George W. seem a statesman, your opening trick. What the hell is next? Enact bills to place your orange, oversexed visage on stamps and coins. Reimagine your university. Republican top dog, you now own it all. Your context in history, we've seen just how you've wrecked all you touch. Give it time. The American, not to go, I wasn't going to have time or space with that. The American people is by far your biggest brand yet. Count me in to see just where it all goes. Sue the Senate, your cabinet. Run up debt to Russia and China and Mexico, that wall. Soon appears some sweet young hussy you'll have to grab. That's you, Donald. Fussy. I wrote that poem and I thought, well, great. Not that I'm done, but I'm done, you know, I wrote something. And then I like making lists. I'm of the Walt Whitman School of Writing Poems, Walt Whitman, big list maker. And the first poem in this was not the first one I wrote, it was the second one I wrote. To Donald Trump from Manhattan. Vindictive, vengeful, rude, mean, petulant, bullying, conniving, so much lying, cheating, swindling, exaggerating, filthy bore, predator, miscreant, creepy little boy, strange adolescent, proud lecher, loud, crude, lewd, horrifying, terrifying, so antagonizing, thin-skinned narcissist, vicious pissant, sociopathic, misogynistic, appallingly unapologetic, unstable, insatiable, flammable, venomous old punk, spoiling for trouble, international embarrassment. Meet Donald, the next U.S. president. That was a few weeks later, and we all here at this, at Port French, I think we all wear a lot of hats. I know, talking to Nicole last night, I know Christina, Grant, I mean, everybody, we do a lot of things. I'm a writer, I'm also a musician, I'm a touring artist. I do everything I need to do for this job of mine, so I don't really have a lot of time to be a writer. But Donald Trump's an unusual case, and at the time I was dating a woman, and I didn't know it was going to last very long, and it didn't last very long, but she was an unusual case. Her name is Mong Lan. She's born in Vietnam. She's a dual citizen, U.S. and Argentina. We never had time to be together. We weren't even together that long. But that was the time that we were dating, and she was in Buenos Aires, and I said, well, you know, can I come visit? She thought I was the craziest guy, but yeah, come down here. And she had this little condo in Buenos Aires, tiny studio condo with no internet. That's part one. Part two, she liked to sleep in. Part three, she said, I'm not even going to give you a key. You have no business walking out there. You don't know the language. It's kind of a dangerous town. It's not like the greatest, although it wasn't a bad part of town to me, but said, you're not going to go walking around if I'm not around with you. So I had all these mornings. I was there for about 10 days. And sonnets, I mean, they're 14 lines. I have a knack for them. So in those 10 days, this was like late November, early December 2016, I wrote about about 35 or 40 in those 10 days. I started thinking, I said, I think I may have a book. And I'm going to try to get a book out by the inauguration. And I have a friend in outside Detroit, a guy named M.L. Liebler. He's Mr. Poetry in Detroit. He's a great guy. He publishes a few things. And after I came back from Buenos Aires with the 35 or 40 poems and started writing more, I called him up. I read him a few and said, M.L., could you publish this thing? Because there's a whole, I don't have to get into how books get published like that. There's different ways, but if you want to do it on the run, you have a friend, they get an ISBN, you run with it, and there's ways you can get these things done quick. This was in my hand by the inauguration. And I was running with it. I started trying to get reviews, I started trying to get bookstore gigs, and I also started writing poems in his voice, which I didn't just write them, like these commentaries to Donald Trump from Baltimore, to Donald Trump. I had to name them, to Donald Trump from Manhattan. I'm just reading one that I just picked up right here. I wasn't even know what I was going to read. Trump Tower, the New York Times. Like his brand, Trump Tower, the New York Times. They've been going downhill for years now. Once terrific. It's unfair they can write what they do without punishment. It's not right. I'll file suit. As president, I'm allowed to do as I please. At last I can show what I'm made of. People, we're made of might. We've got first-rate armed forces that will fight to protect us. I can fight too. The low media blows will have to stop. My hometown paper will have to shape up. Failing is not an option. They'll have to come to me for stories. False talk about jailing protesters and dissidents. Who wants to read that crap? They will come around to my view. I'm just, it's not like he said that, but he could have said that. And I'm going to play a fiddle tune just to kind of break the talking with this, and then explain how I've actually sold this book to Trump voters. This is the first one. Play a fiddle tune. I played one, I'll play the same tune I was playing before. It's a tune that I like to play. There's really no reason, although I'll make a reason. That's State of Alaska. Any of you been to Alaska? You've been everywhere. Quick little tour. I'm an Alaska resident. I moved up to there. It's in the interior. It's a place called Fairbanks, second biggest city in Alaska. I moved there in 1985 for graduate school, for an MFA in creative writing. And it's funny. I'm staying with friends here. My billet is a billet and not. I'm staying with friends, but they're my hosts. I hadn't seen them in more than 10 years, but I know them since the late 70s, where they were a couple, and then they went to Colgate University. I have a friend, I was dating a woman who was a friend of theirs, so we were like the two couples, and we stayed in touch. And we're all living in Boston. And the joke with them is I was complaining about the cold weather in Boston. And I ended up in Alaska. And Alaska and Fairbanks in the interior, average high in January is -5. 0 degree day is warm. The most amazing summer place. So we're at summer solstice now. It's light like, there's a 9 to 5 day, there's a 5 to 1 day, and then it starts getting lighter again. It doesn't really you don't need headlights in your car from mid-May till early August. Great place. So I lived there for 3 years in grad school. I wasn't ready to leave. I lived in our state capital, Juneau. It's not like Augusta, it's not like Sacramento. It's a capital you can only get to by boat or plane. I then lived in Sitka. It's on Baranof Island. By there, I was a visiting assistant professor. Then I was teaching in Nome, all the way over here. Then I was back in Juneau. I'm officially an Anchorage resident, but I drove out a long time ago. I'll fit it in somehow in this with the Trump stuff too. There's a little bit I can talk about. But I'll just play a fiddle tune and I'll. the way I can tell this and play this fiddle tune to get into that story is, Christina may have been there. You been to Sierra Vista, Arizona?
No,
Do you know where it is?
I know where Arizona is.
Anybody been to Sierra Vista, or you know where it might be? You've been there? Is that a hand raised, or that's just
Discussion,
thinking?
aye.
Been to Tucson? Sierra Vista is in Cochise County. It's about an hour out of Tucson. And in April 2017, after I had written Trump Sonnets Volume 1, actually it was not April, it was like March, late March, early April. They had Cochise County Community College hosted the annual writing celebration, bringing 4 writers, poet, fiction writer, nonfiction writer, and somebody involved in publishing. It's a conservative town. They're in that, it's a big county, it's a border county. So there's Douglas, Arizona is there. Bisbee, Arizona is in that county, which is an arts town. But Sierra Vista is the growing big community. It's also a military base. It is a conservative place. And everybody in that writing celebration, the 4 of us on the first evening had 5 minutes to introduce ourselves. So what I did in my 5 minutes was I think I played that same tune, which I'll play again. I can play more than this tune, believe me, but I played Old Joe Clark, and I went like this. And I read a poem, or I didn't read a poem, I recited a poem called Old Time Fiddle Lesson. To learn, lock yourself in your fiddle in a room all winter and practice till you play with a twisty, heartfelt, rhythmic punch that approaches trance. Now, fiddling is not technical repetition anyone can master. It's a sound you make once you know in the blood you clog with your fingers, while that old devil music dances inside the box. I played it through, actually, all the way through, a couple times, read the poem. That's like 2.5 minutes. I read a poem, I have a favorite writer, favorite poet, a guy named William Stafford. If he was alive, he'd be about 104. Since it was a literary gathering, it gave me an excuse to mention him. I was going to do a workshop, and I use something that he wrote as a handout. So I mentioned William Stafford, read a poem I wrote about him. Had another minute and a half. That Trump Sonnets had just come out, Volume 1. And Volume 1, by the way, that was a joke title. I just said Trump Sonnets Volume 1. You know, it was out by the inauguration, the subtitle, the first 50 days. So what I did was, okay, I know Sierra Vista is a conservative place. I have poems in his voice. I happen to have a poem. The ones in his voice, like Trump Tower, I said Trump Phoenix. That was the brand, Trump Phoenix Food. This is what I read there at the introduction to the Cochise Writers Celebration. I've never been called one of those food snobs. Fast food is fine, or a well-done strip steak with baked potato and salad. I don't make a thing in the kitchen myself. Meals rob me of time. I'll go without, or else grab a burger or turkey sandwich to take on the plane. Have a piece of pound cake when offered. Same with corn on the cob. Regular food, that's what I like. I drink coffee, soda, water, juice. Helps me think. Of course, I know my way to restaurants as fine as any. I own many, want to own more. My gift is making dreams come true. The whole country is now my team. I read that, and after the 4 of us introduced ourselves, we had kind of like what I have up there, but it wasn't like that. In space, it was like on a little table. I had my stuff, the other people had their stuff to sell. A woman came up and said, I really like that Donald Trump poem. I want to buy your book. I voted for him, and I really liked your poem. I said, I thought I had said that was satire. You're not going to like the book. I like the poem. She said, I want to buy your book. I said, you're not going to like the book. She said, I want to buy your book. And I said, $15. And I should have said $15, but for you, $20. I didn't say that. I said $15. She paid me. And ever since, that was like such a gift. Not that she bought the book, but that a Trump voter bought this book, because then, some months later, I was at this music festival that I go to in West Virginia, the Appalachian String Band Festival in a place called Clifftop, West Virginia. There's about 5,000 people show up, and about 4,900 of them are really fine musicians in the kind of style I play this old time. It predates bluegrass. And it's kind of thing, it's kind of like a Burning Man meets an old time music festival, because there's a lot of people, there's a stage, but basically people are camping, playing music, people sometimes with pretty elaborate camping setups. There's this one, these friends of mine from Athens, Ohio, who at 7 o'clock, they cook meals, and for the first 70, 80 people, they'll feed you. You know, they'll take donations, but they'll feed you. I have friends from North Carolina coast who come there, they put up a big circus tent, and they cook up some Louisiana food, and they have music going till dawn most nights. And it's anything goes. And I decided to have a book release for Trump Sonnets. Down from me, several sites, was a guy from West Virginia. We haven't really talked much, but he said, you know, I'm one of the 70% in West Virginia who voted for Donald Trump. What are you up to here, man? And I said, well, I'm doing a book release, and I'll read the poem, but somebody who voted for Donald Trump bought this book, you know, in Arizona. I'll read you that poem. I read him that poem, and he looked at me really quizzically. He said, well, I'm a supporter for the arts. I'll give you $20. I'm doing 2 for 1. And what was really, and he looked at me then really quizzically, I'm giving him 2 books, not 1, but I was doing 2 for 1 because it was Clifftop, and you're doing what you do there. And he then later in the week explained, he said, you know, I'm in a band here, and my bandmates don't understand my politics. I don't understand their politics. You know, but we're friends because we play music, and you gave me this extra book, and I gave it to one of my bandmates. He thanked me, and it helped our friendship. Thank you. And that's not all with that, because that guy's name is Pat, and this last year, that was 2 years ago at that festival. So last year at the festival, volume 1, I had a volume 2, and then the volume 3, which is out in 2019, the book had just gotten, it got finished, and it got sent. I had to drive out of the festival early in the week to pick up this. It got sent to Beckley, West Virginia, about an hour and a half away. And he was kept near me again. He said, well, I admit I didn't finish it. It's in the bathroom, but for an anti-Trumper, I can talk to you. You have a sense of humor. I want to buy your new book. And I'm thinking, like, this is the last guy for the first, the book is just out, like, it's so new. I have this one, which I know he's not going to like, 33 Commentaries, 33 Dreams. This one, he's not going to like either, but I go, but you know, sure, I'll sell you this book. And the guy, I'll see him again. I'm sorry I don't have another book to sell him, because he's buying these books. Because I could say that there's somebody in Arizona who bought this book. So that to me is just amazing. When I went to that, when I read in Antes though, in Spokane, where they had advertised, come see Alaska's Fiddling Poet, the people were like, some people were into it. Afterwards, one of the employees apologized because they didn't market it correctly like that. But that person bought 3 copies. I only had this book at the time. Bought 3 copies. But meanwhile, other people were going, "This isn't what we signed up for. We didn't like this. We're part of the deplorables." And one woman said, "Why can't you give him? Why can't you give him a chance? He doesn't even take a salary." And that's how. And I read a poem in his voice about emoluments, and I just said, "Okay, last word." if I were to say, and I wrote this and it got a few reviews, but I started writing the second one. I started writing a lot of dreams in his voice. I wrote some commentaries. I got one that was one of the first ones I wrote. This is where the Fringe Festival. It has it refers to some theater. So since we're all, if you're here, you're involved in theater. So this poem is one of the commentary poems. It has this title: Trump, McConnell, Ryan, Sessions, Pence, Conway, DeVos, etc. It's the hypocrisy and shamelessness that astounds. How can so many rich men and women incriminate themselves again and again? With wealth, you'd think they practice restraint or would mix the deviousness with subtle smarts. But abomination after abomination. God, how can they not see they can't pass judgment unless they themselves act with dignity? They'll stand in front of a camera, straight face, no irony, and claim the opposite of what they've said or done. I don't understand. Have they all gone to theater school and aced the same damn class? Assholes in their crazy shit. I don't know, I like it. In fact, when I met Mel, who does a sexology show, she mentioned with her touring, she does a lot of house shows. And I wasn't familiar with that. I do house concerts with music, but I didn't know you could set up house shows, although in a sense I have. I have friends in Portland, Oregon who hosted me for a Trump Sonnet show. And they were musician friends, and I knew a lot of the people who were there were mostly musicians. And there was one guy I hadn't seen in a decade or longer, good musician. And he's like sitting in the back saying, and as I'm reading these things and playing music, but reading these things, he says, okay, so we're here for your therapy, aren't we? Which is, kind of true. I have some of these poems here where I feel like when he goes down, he's going to go down, and it helps keep me going. That's how I can title this Trump Sonnets, or How I've Taken on Donald Trump in One, because I'm able to write my way through these weeks, months, and years, and there's a lot of people who just can't take all this. I got a question. I have a poem that mentions 3 music instruments that Donald Trump would favor. What might those instruments be? Anybody?
Trombone.
Trombone.
Trump.
Tuba.
That's what I thought of it, but
Trombone, tuba,
I don't know, I feel like he's an Elton John fan. Maybe the piano?
piano.
Okay.
So it's one of the dream poems. In fact, it's Donald Trump, Dream number 13. You'll see the ones, at least in my imagination. And I've done this, this is my 4th of the 5 shows I'm doing. This is the first group that did not say kazoo. So anyway, Donald Trump, Dream number 13. And this will give me an excuse to play a fiddle tune afterwards too. A bluegrass band was playing a racket like I never heard. Spare me the banjo. I prefer bagpipes. Or a piccolo. Or a bugle. That fiddler, a ticket to madness. Couldn't someone just crack it, that piece of wood, in 50 pieces? Oh God, all I had was a ripe tomato, which was in a pocket of my jacket. So I aimed at the band with all my might. My right arm wasn't what it used to be. The tomato splattered before the stage. In another pocket, somehow a white rock. Took it out. Felt good to me. Good weight, heft. I threw again. That's courage. Donald Trump, Dream number 13. I'm going to play a fiddle tune. And while I'm playing this fiddle tune, I'd like you to all to think of a number between 1 and 33. I'll play a fiddle tune. I'll play something that I will play this on, this is a tune, I like to play tunes I made up, and I made up this tune, and Anchorage is here, there's a place called Bethel that I just was at actually in April, and then there's a village called Eek, E-E-K. And I have a story, and on Saturday, either Saturday when I'm doing my last show here, or next Wednesday when I'm in Eastport, Maine, doing a show, I have a shirt with Eek, because I was invited to the Eek Authors Festival. And when I was on stage, before I was going to that Eek Authors Festival, I was going to be in Eek for a week. And I said I better write a poem called A Week in Eek, and I made up a poem and a fiddle tune. I'm not going to do the poem, I'll do the poem another time. It's not really Donald Trump related, but I'll play the fiddle tune. But think of a number between 1 and 33. Once more. So let's see, the number between 1 and 33. Oh, I know what I can do. This bow is such a good thing to have, because you can just use it as a pointer. You got a number?
27.
27, you know, somebody the other night. I've had 27, 28, and 29, been three numbers, but got a number?
18.
18,
16.
16.
8.
21.
God, I want to do all of them, but I'll just do one, and I don't even know what's going to come up, but I'm going to do one of the other dream poems. I'm going to do dream number 21. I'm not sure what's going to come up, but we'll see. Donald Trump, dream number 21. There was darkness, darkness. There was no light switch. But I carried a matchbook, so I took a match and struck. Okay, I took another match when the first flame died. Right then I got smart. What are we without sight? I lit a match. It was that easy. Look, I could see. I lit a big shelf of books, then the curtains. It was the edge of night. It was getting hot though. I found the door, went out. Why I didn't do that before, I don't know. It was a beautiful day. Blue sky, no clouds. Perfect day to play golf, but for all the smoke. Terrible how fires do massive damage when winds blow. First time I've ever read that. I think I may just read all of these dream poems. What do you got, Grant? What's your number?
Mine was 8.
Number 8. You mind if I read these?
No?
No.
Okay. And it's kind of fun because I've written them. They're in the books.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, okay, I'll just, Donald Trump, dream number 8. We were served plates of the most tender veal. The plates kept coming and we kept eating. We had the best table, the first seating of the evening, a beautiful meal. I sat with Ivanka and Eric, real close together. We heard ourselves breathing. Somehow it turned into a meeting and the kids wanted to know how to steal Donald Jr.'s shares. It was hard to know whether to be angry or proud. Follow your daddy, I told them. The veal was good, and chocolate cake too. I liked my food well done, everything chewy but tender. The cook knew some tricks. Our waitress, slender. Thanks for number 8.
Absolutely.
What was your number again?
16.
16. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to do this. I like these small groups. I get to do it. We get to be inclusive. So let's see, dream number 16. What are we going to get here? I'm going to save 16. It's like the darkest of the dark. Mind if I save it?
No,
for the
go
end?
ahead.
And then I'll play something on fiddle and we can like get that. This is like the darkest poem in the whole book. What's yours?
Mine was 18.
18. I'm so happy somebody did the dark one. 18. Donald Trump, dream number 18. Green sky, green faces, everywhere such green. Green is my second favorite color. Favorite of my mother and father and their dearest friends. You know who I mean. CEOs, millionaires, princesses, queens, everything green, including my mother, her hair, lipstick, teeth. Even the butler was green, the most brilliant I'd ever seen. Then I saw the green funnel in the sky. I watched as that wind took everything in and came toward me. Green wind. I wondered why now? Was it my time? The craziest wind. Then it turned left, away from the high ground where I stood. The windstorm turned everything brown. Dream number 18. What's yours, Christina?
27.
27. I should remember that. 27. I've done 27 before here. So many people sleeping in the streets. Yellow school buses were lined up in rows, waiting. Where were all the children? Who knows? Some were with parents lying in the streets. Others must have been lost. All the seats in the buses were empty. God, all those sad failures in the streets, bundled in clothes, bags around them. Someone was grilling meats by a truck. There was a big long line of men, women, no kids, some dogs. A blind man was begging. I'd seen this on my phone and my TV. Had I found a war zone? I turned and began walking. Dogs, debtors, each step further away. I felt better. I'll do number 16 and I'll play a tune and I'll do a number 16. I'll read a commentary poem and then I'll play a tune. And I think I know what to do next. Donald Trump, dream number 16. What was I supposed to do? I'm naked in a creek and have to take a big dump. So I squat and move my bowels. A long lump, big beautiful lump, mostly gold, red streaks. Not a great smell, but what have I said? I'm not just anyone, I'm Donald Trump. I'm happy to do my job, whether jump on a plane or else squat in this creek bed. My father told me the world is oyster. Everything I say or do is a pearl. Beautiful pearl, my dad's big voice. Sir, I say, pointing proudly as if at a girl. That's quite a shit, my boy, he says loudly. I tell him I'll do it again, Daddy. That just seems to be so dark. And sometimes I can read these. That's the end of part 1. Otherwise I'd have a commentary poem. But I'll have dream number 17, and I'll do this one to Mitch McConnell, Trump instrument, and I'll play a tune to wash this out. I was with a friend yesterday, I think he's going to come Saturday night to this, and we talked, and he said, Mitch McConnell, he's the one. He's the one that's... Anyway, I read him this poem yesterday at his house. To Mitch McConnell, Trump instrument. You deserve your own very special poem. You, the foul Confederate. I wonder what made you such a vile, avuncular thug of a lawmaker. How you'd entomb poor folks in Louisville, Lexington, some eastern Kentucky mountain hamlet under cover of night. You love the carpenter, Jesus Christ, but would you ever welcome him into your home? You're famous, you know. Seattle friend said she'd sacrifice her life just to see you forever gone. Sir, you privately say it's all for show, this political theater. Move your peace, Senator. Disgusting, spiteful pawn. These are all 14 lines. They all have their little rhyme scheme. They're all sonnets. And that's how I've stayed sane, and I hope that in some way these inspire you to, to resist and do whatever you need to do to keep yourselves doing all the good work that you do. I'm going to play a tune that I didn't even know I was going to play till right now. one too, with the dreams and the commentary, and I thought that was the end. But now I'm going to ask you all, after thinking of a number between 1 and 33, and I think I'm going to get smart this time, instead of just trying to remember, you can all think of a country. And I'm going to write it down, so I'm going to remember. Let's see, Nicole, you got a country?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. And I'm not going to call, just, we got 5 of us here, so let's see. If we're...
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Spain.
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 Is there another one?
I'll do Netherlands.
Netherlands. Good, I'm getting some of them ever again. You know, I don't do this that often.
Stress myself out here doing. Let's see. Let's do Australia because I saw it.
Yeah, and there's actually the card that has that. So what happened is I was at my festival in West Virginia, and my friends who had the big circus tent were saying, we just came back from Ireland, Ken, and we had a great time. Have you been? I said, no, I've never been. I never get out of the U.S. I shouldn't say never. I do get out, but not like that. I've been to Argentina. I played a festival in Australia. I get to Canada occasionally, but no, I've never been to Ireland. And they said, you should go. They would love your fiddling. They love your poetry and stories. The only weird thing about the trip, and this was a couple summers ago, they said all they want to talk about is this president of ours. And they mentioned this sheep, they called him a sheep farmer, this guy, they said, your president, he's a bully boy, he's a bully boy, he's a bully boy, your president's a bully boy. And I heard that at this festival, and I guess in the course of the week I was there, at some point I crawled in my tent and I wrote a poem. I wrote a poem. At first it was an Irishman response to United States President Donald Trump. Then, as this book came to be, that was the first. I wrote one called, it turned into something called An Irishman. Your new president, he's a bully boy, he's a bully boy, yes. Likes to throw his weight around. Oh, I guess he'd been beaten as a youngster, had toys broken, never had a hound to enjoy. Your president bully boy makes a mess wherever he goes, will never confess to wrongdoing, takes an uncommon joy in harassing others. What's wrong with him? Your beastly bully boy. Should sit, read books, and think things through. He's astoundingly dim, your silly bully boy. From here it looks like your country is in quite the pickle. He's rather dense. Can't tell big from little. I was so happy with that. I thought, there's a lot of countries out there. I can come up with the international edition. And I worked my way through. I'm going to see if I've not been asked about Bulgaria. I got to see if there is a Bulgarian. You know what? There is. I am so happy. I would never, nobody would, you're an unusual. You know you're unusual. So a Bulgarian. He's strange genius, making everybody feel worse. Some get dizzy, others nightmares. It's simply his nature, having no cares for anybody but himself. Study him close. Please examine him, your bloody overstuffed president with pompous hair, until as assistant clerk, unfit as assistant clerk, much less mayor. Yet there he is with vast sums of money presiding over these United States. I'm merely a poor foreign-born doctor from Sofia. Your leader, he's a fist-sized tumor. He's bloat, rash, flu. He's a date with kidney stone, constipation, fever. He's a big blackhead, the infected cyst. That's the Bulgarian. Let's see, we got Vietnam. I know I got a Vietnam poem here. And what this is as it came together, got a whole, and this is a book release too. It came out officially in January, but everything I'm doing is a book release for this one because it's 2019. This is all from the Americas, from North, South, Central America. This section here is Eastern Europe, or the Bulgarian and Middle East. There's a little African section. The Far East, where Vietnam is, and it's kind of South Pacific. There's a whole European section. Then there's this little epilogue. And the Vietnam poem is right here on Vietnamese is page 50. It'd be nice if I had these all memorized. This is not going to happen, at least in this lifetime. The ones I do, when I do other shows over time, by God, I mean, what you actors who can do that, that's great. But here it is, the Vietnamese. We don't know what to make of him. The tweets are like words from a sick-at-home schoolboy. And the threats. Some say he wants to destroy people of color. Some say he would cheat on his wife. Yes, he exaggerates feats for no good reason. That's his charm, his joy in having his way. Of course he annoys people. At least he lets us be. We greet the light in the morning, the dark at night. America is much bigger than him. We love Los Angeles, Houston, New York, great American cities. We delight in the roads and cars. He's just a symptom of ill health. He's the pill that doesn't work. Spain. Got a couple in Europe now, so I'll go to here. I have friends of people I'm staying with who I know from way back. I'm going to go to Spain, and they came to the Sunday night show I did, so I shouldn't have read the Spaniard one, but I did because it's not a nice poem, but I'll read it anyway. On the bus one day, I met a tourist, and she seemed perfectly reasonable. She called her president an unstable gangster, which didn't seem wrong. She listed her grievances and felt quite sad. She missed the welcome she once received. The label American dogged her now. Terrible, she said, how people spit, how they'd insist she was like him, that all Americans were just like him too, or worse. We're all friends, she said to me. Had to look away. I want nothing to do with her country, or anyone from it. Her president is a part of her. He's no accident. Netherlands. On the very next page, a Netherlander. We believe you and your ambassador are the most astounding pair of liars. Willful, foolish, climate change deniers who don't accept plain science. Peculiar, peculiar, peculiar. Do you ever listen to what you say? Are your brain wires fried? Or are you just stupid? Duo choir whose tone and pitch have failed. We would never speak such awful rubbish. You're ridiculous. You're dangerous. You're so promiscuous with language, both of you. We understand tough politics, but the underhanded statements, the obvious falsehoods, you two are not welcome here. We value what's true. I have some that are, in favor of Donald Trump. I have the Russian poem, the Israeli poem. The Australian poem is not among them, but it's a humorous one, an Aussie. I pity you, mate, see the bloody fool in charge. No, not unlike our kangaroos. They're fleshy creatures that do what they do, make a mad clatter. Just let them be. You'll be better off. Yours is so strangely cruel, it defies the mind. He acts senile, too, your elderly kangaroo chief. Virtue does not know him. He'd propose a duel if you fitted him with a sword. The bombs are our greatest worry. Just look at him. The man's hair is a helmet. A plain comb has no chance. I've yet seen a thing as grim as his frown. Your kangaroo president. Only as cartoon is he excellent. This book starts with, it's not a country, but it starts with a Puerto Rico poem. It states. It ends with 7 poems with, instead of a person from a country, it's like 14 New Yorkers, so it's 14 one-liners. 14 Alaskans, 14 Californians, 14 Nebraskans, 14 Texans, 14 Oregonians, 14 District of Columbia residents. So I'll read the 14 Alaskans, since I've got the map of Alaska up there, and it has my single most favorite line of the 3 books. And just get to the 14th line and get there. So 14 Alaskans. And he carried Alaska, he'd carry Alaska tomorrow. Yes to libertarian tendencies. He should play Iditarod golf in Nome. Screw the tweets, take away the goddamn phone. Lots of support from our military. Let's see how he treats our Arctic ladies. How he'd like to take everything we own. Fairbanks outhouse, a most fitting throne. A real cad never says thank you or please. He'd never understand us or the cold. He should love us, we're closer to Russia. Not a liar. He's very brave and bold. His White House needs to honor a musher. From where I sit, he's clearly a felon. Imagine this, a love child with Palin. That's like my favorite line. The whole 3 books is that. So I have a few minutes left. Questions, requests, I could play a couple fiddle tunes, questions about this process, this piece. I do variations. I do lots of different kinds of shows. When I've done this is part of the Solo Fest here, and this has been great for me to see how it kind of works and doesn't work. But like my other shows, I really like playing with somebody and having somebody. When I was mentioning to Nicole and Christina last night that I played at the Marsh in San Francisco, and I had a fellow from Marin County who really fine banjo player. We did some twin fiddle stuff, so the music carries it more, but then when we play a tune, he keeps playing, then I talk over that, and it really adds something that's, but solo has its charms also. But anyway, any questions, requests, thoughts, otherwise I'll play a fiddle tune or two. If you want to hear another poem or two, or something background about any of this stuff. Yeah.
I would love to hear the Israeli poem, if I'm willing to read that.
I'm happy to do
I'm
that.
up for that. That
That'd be
sounds
great.
good.
I'll tell you what else I'd like to read too. This is the newest one, and I haven't had a chance to read the Israeli poem. The Israeli one's is positive for Trump, and the Canadian one is like a really. I love the Canadian poem. But I'll read those two, and I'll play a fiddle tune. How's that sound? There's another question there.
No, that sounds good.
What's that? Actually, that's what I'll do. I'll play a waltz on the mandolin.
Nice.
I'll play the waltz that I made up called the Fairbanks Cabin Waltz. But let's see, I got Saudi, Egyptian, Palestinian, Israeli. I like him. But I like men really tough. I've watched him on TV and saw he knew what the others didn't. He's a wolf too, so he doesn't care about playing rough. He grabs what he wants and takes no guff. That's why he's effective. He's not a Jew, but he's a friend. He battles Muslims true to our cause. People may see him as gruff or vulgar, but he's husband, father, man in charge. He's not afraid of power on earth. He believes in the Holy Land and new worlds of skyscrapers and towers. He's lively and dynamic. I like him. The other world leaders can be so grim. I like that poem, but it's like one that, okay, here you can have the Israeli poem. The Canadian one, there's a fellow who on the back cover, a guy named Robert Cooperman, who is in his 70s. He's got probably about 15, 20 books out. He won the Colorado Book Award one year. He's a friend, and he is the foulest mouth guy that I know too. And I knew he could read this and blurb something and be positive and have something to say with it. And I do this stuff, and I do these things pretty quick, and I don't have like this great background of like writing group and people to read these things. I just write them, and just out they go in the world. And when he read this, he was like saying, "Man, you're like, I can't write these sonnets like you do it. I got to hand it to you, man." But the Canadian one, I don't know about that one. That was the one he said, it sounds like a New Yorker. But I shared that poem with a guy from Toronto. This book was out, and he said, that sounds like 20 people. That could have been 20 people that I know who said that exact same thing. And this is based on a guy who, a really fine blues player who I ran into in Austin, Texas. And he had seen me do an event the night before, and I saw him again. And I said, well, how did you like the show the other night? And here's kind of paraphrasing his response. A Canadian. I hate his guts. I'm having a nice time this evening, so please drop the damn subject. I don't want to hear the name. A perfect criminal, that's what he is, just one crime after another. How I wish he'd climb into a rocket and take off to the next planet. Yeah, give him Mars. He can erect his fancy hotels, take every last dime from the goddamn Martians. Barmaid, a shot of whiskey. I want that fuck off my mind. I'm out tonight to listen to music, not that horseshit asshole's name. Oh, you've got some nerve ruining my day. Please go find someone else to piss off. Trump is a dick. So, I got these poems, and like I say, they amuse me. This is my therapy, but, it's like we do our versions of these shows. I'm hopeful I can do more with this in some way. I'd love to take this to the Canadian fringes and see what they would think of that with a musician friend or not. But play a waltz called the Fairbanks Cabin Waltz, and it's one of my favorite things to play too. So it's I have a whole story I tell when I have all these stories that have nothing to do. And the other thing that's kind of interesting too is that when I do the other shows, if I am putting this political or the Donald Trump stuff at all, I've found that maybe I can, depending on an audience, I can just say I've written these books, and that's all I'm going to do. And even that is a problem sometimes. It's a momentum buster. So I do a whole bunch of other things. It's not, if you know what you're getting, it works, I think. But if they don't know what they're getting, it's going to be like, that's going to be a problem. So I have this nice story I tell that I'm not going to have time to tell, but it's the Fairbanks Cabin Waltz. I'm going to start again, but I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank Port Fringe, and I'm playing here at 8:15 on Saturday evening. I'm hopeful that it will be fairly full in here, but if not, that's going to be okay too. And I'm around for another few days. I'm going to start from the top. So I think there's a meetup that's already been going on down the street at local 1, what is it, 1?
Oh, I thought it was, oh yeah, local 188.
Yeah, local 188, I was going to say 118, but 188, local 188. I'm going to pack up and go down there and have a beverage and maybe see you there. Thanks for coming, allowing me to ply my trade for an hour here.